Hazmat, Luke Cage, Patriot, Mystique, Arrow, Cozy. There are certain combos in Marvel Snap that you just make an automatic association with. Howard the Duck is not one of those. Okay, maybe he actually is, but you know what? Let's talk about Howard the Duck, the newest card coming to Marvel Snap. So here he is, Howard the Duck, ongoing. Tap this to see the top card of your deck. He's a 1/2, and this is a very powerful piece of information. How many times have you been in a match and you're sitting there going, man, I really need to know if I'm gonna get that Onslaught or that Claw or whatever that specific card is that you're looking for to make the final play, or even a little bit earlier if you're trying to set up a very specific style of combo. Howard can now provide that kind of insight for you by tapping him, taking a look at the card that's coming up next so you can decide what to do. So immediately you look at the most recent card that came on out, Iron Lad, which is copying the text of your deck's top card. And this is an automatic synergy. But it doesn't mean that Howard needs to be exclusive to just only being used with Iron Lad. So for you, I've got, as always, 5 decks to test out the Duck, some that have Iron Lad and some that don't. Let's start with the ones that don't. We're gonna move on into what I'm calling One Toxic Duck. This is taking the idea of the Hazmat Luke Cage combo and now putting Howard the Duck in play. Now, how does Howard help out this very popular combination? This is Wong going into multiple effects popping out repeatedly, whether it be lots of White Tigers or lots of Doombots, multiple Iron Hearts, and then Odin maybe makes all of it happen again. What Howard's gonna let you know is one turn ahead to know which line you want to take. Do you wanna take the Black Widow Hazmat line, or do you wanna take the Doctor Doom Odin line? Is Sarah gonna be valuable to you because you're using those little cards in multitude? Should you put her down on 5, or should you put down the White Tiger instead? Where are you going to want to play is going to be important in this deck, but Howard gives you just enough information to make a couple of calls one turn early, where in this deck, knowing by turn 5 what you want to do is so important. So getting that little bit of a head start is going to be where Howard is going to thrive here. We move on to what I'm calling On the Red Duck. This is an ongoing Spectrum deck that has Howard the Duck, because obviously Howard is a ongoing ability, so he does take advantage from Spectrum. So we have a couple of different lines here as well. And how is Howard going to help? You're going to know if that Omega Red, who is a very underutilized card in this game, is going to have value in this match. And this is a pretty flat curve. If you take a look at the construction, you've got 2 6-drops, 2 5-drops, 2 4-drops, two 3-drops. It is set up for success, but you may really want to know one turn ahead of time by going into turn 4. Am I looking at Wong going to Spectrum, or am I looking at Omega Red and Iron Man? Maybe Claw is your backup plan. He's going to give you that little bit of a head start to see if maybe this is the right way to play this deck, because we're always looking for ways to play Omega Red. He's a great, powerful card, and he will be probably in about 2 weeks' time also. Let's move on to kind of the hybrid in between, where you may or may want to think about Iron Lad. You do not need to have Iron Lad in this deck. This is Monkeys, Ducks, and Rockets. It is a zoo deck. It is a classic inspired zoo deck, where I took the Hit Monkey play that I referenced back in the much earlier Hit Monkey decks, where I saw Series 2 at the zoo, and I realized we could reinforce this. So now we have Okoye in this deck. Now we have Iron Lad in this deck, but he doesn't have to be there. You could replace Iron Lad with another 1-drop if you wanted to, but Hit Monkey is there because you're mainly looking to build this deck as a turn 6 swing. And that's the big thing with it, is you're looking to play out Howard on 1 or something else like Sunspot if you absolutely need to, then build Okoye into Bishop, into Khazar or Iron Lad and Blue Marvel. Then on turn 6, you're letting everything go and swarming the board at the end, which is one of the best strategies for a zoo deck that isn't used often enough. A lot of people will just throw out those 1-drops early. We're not playing any 6-drops. And Iron Lad is in this deck because he has a lot of effects that he can duplicate, which will be very valuable by turn 4. Think about that ongoing for Ant-Man, getting more squirrels out on the battlefield, duplicating even the hit monkey, possibly if you know about it ahead of time from Howard the Duck, could be a mega swing on the final turn, considering he's already sitting at a base 6 power. So it gives us a couple of alternate ways to play a zoo deck while also taking advantage of last season's season pass. This one's a little bit more of a fun-inspired deck. I'm calling it the Shuri Yo-Yo, because ever since the Shuri adjustment / nerf, whichever term you wish to use, we're always looking for ways to use her. And I've been preaching it for a couple of weeks now that I think one of the biggest cards that's going to have a huge impact this month is Spider-Woman. So I'm trying to take advantage of her, and we're using a couple of different mechanics in here. This is a little bit more of an Iron Lad focused deck, and let me explain how Howard the Duck makes all of this better. Howard the Duck's going to let you know what effect you need to pull specifically, whether it's Shuri coming on down maybe one extra turn early. Maybe it's that Ghost Rider because you want to pull that Ghost Rider out on 5 because you got rid of something earlier on. What's nice with the Lady Sif Ghost Rider combo here is you're pulling in Infinite, great. That's obviously your Ghost Rider's #1 target at almost all times. But to also potentially bring back Captain Marvel, Vision, or Spider-Woman on turn 4 is a really healthy acceleration play, which is why Jubilee is also in this deck, because Jubilee is going to be able to take advantage of that Howard the Duck effect. Howard the Duck's going to let you know, very similarly to Iron Lad synergy, that Jubilee can bring that top card out if you want that one also too, instead of just trying to accelerate it via Iron Lad. So of course, you've got Jubilee, Shuri, Ghost Rider, Iron Lad, lots of 4-drops. Again, Zabu is in this deck. And Wave is here to accelerate one extra card out if for some reason one of the two lines of either Jubilee or the Lady Sif line do not come to be. So you can wave out something on 4, play big on 5, play big on 6 if you need to. It is a fun deck. I'm really excited to try this one on stream. I hope you guys come join us on Twitch to see if the Shuri Yo-Yo is going to be one of the more fun ways to play Howard the Duck and Iron Lad, considering this is probably going to be one of the worst ways to play Howard the Duck and Iron Lad, and I have to talk about it because it is a strategy. It is a strategy for this deck if you are a Galactus player. Howard the Duck and Iron Lad is going to probably change how you look at the Galactus deck entirely. I'm personally taking the Taskmaster Nimrod Shuri line because I love that line. I think it's the most fun way to play a Galactus deck, to actually get Galactus to key off on turn 6 and still have these Mega Nimrods sweep on over. So yeah, I put Zabu in this deck because you don't know what Shuri's going to bring when. You don't know what Iron Lad's going to bring when. You could probably replace it with a couple other classic cards like Wolverine or Yondu, etc. But I like the idea of, let's play Howard and Zabu and maybe throw them off their game a little bit here. So I am going to call this the Mother Ducker because it is appropriate for this style of deck. And I think it really will be successful. And I think you're going to see it a lot. Maybe not mine, but this type of deck. So just be ready for it because Howard the Duck provides some really fun strategies. And I love what he brings to the game. He's going to bring that new tech piece of knowledge where as we head into some of these new game modes, we head into these tournaments, we're seeing the importance of being ahead of your opponent, whether it be via strategy or now literally being ahead because you know exactly what's going to happen on the next turn for you. So it's like having an extra card in your hand, and that is incredibly valuable. I do think Howard the Duck is a really cool card. We will be testing him all this week on Twitch. I'm excited to have you come join us in the guest list for that play testing. And please, don't think you need to have Iron Lad. It helps, but it's not mandatory. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. For those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as ItsGuestGaming, and I look forward to seeing you on the guest list.